Hi there, welcome back. It is Laura at Hyperstamper again, and I did a junk journal revamp today. This is one I've had in my Etsy shop for a couple of months, and so I thought it might need a little refresh. It had a lot of type under these pieces here, which was maybe a bit distracting, and so I covered that up with some of this beautiful vintage doily bits, two different kinds of doilies there, and some fabric and some matching ribbon to this beautiful Victorian woman's scarf here, and up and around the netting around her hat. It's still intact, the whole book, and it's exquisite. I love these images. I've had a few of these Beverly of Glow Stark books, and they're very popular. So I'm going to take you on a little journey through the inside. I've added some new pieces, and then I'll repost it in my Etsy shop, hyperstamper.etsy.com. And let's take a little look. Here we go. So the original first pages of the book, look at that. There's that same image there, the original plate. That is Beverly. And then this was 1904, so it's a super old book, 121 years old. Here is, speaking of very, very old, a super old postcard. It's a photo postcard, so when families got their photos done, they would get some postcard style on the back. The printer would make them like that, and so that they could send them to their families and overseas. There's a 1950s receipt there. By the way, that's from about the between 1910 and 1920, probably more close to 1920. And then this is a really sweet little 1920s page that I turned into a journaling card with the bunnies there, Farmer's Garden. And then here we have a beautiful children's book page from the 30s. And this is a really cool piece on basket making. That's from 1920s. This beautiful antique postcard here is from Belgium, and that is approximately 1915. That's gorgeous. And then this little centerfold piece here is from 1942. We've got Fred Astaire and Rita Hayworth in the Theatre World magazine here for You Were Never Lovelier movie. And I just love these. Oh, a little waterfall journaling spot here. And then this is a 1904 plate from my English Countryside Garden series. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful piece. I love it. The colors are exquisite for a 120-year-old book. And I love this here. Look at that. Modern kitchen. We would kill for that now, wouldn't we? That is from the 1940s. Love it. And this newspaper here is actually from 1899. And this is just another vintage children's school book page with antique paper on the back. And this is one of those really cool pages that somebody used an old book page from the 1800s here, but used it as a scrapbook. So they put their own articles in here, which I think is really inventive. Little hidden journaling spot here. This is a beautiful petite point needlepoint piece here. And that is very old. Look at this cool piece here. This is a full page from 1926, 99 years old. Look at that delicious pie there. Just fabulous. And then we've got these great ads on the back. So a really cool little piece of history there. And it's very soft and it's almost like smooth, that paper. It's lovely. Another hidden journaling spot down here. Vintage dictionary page and a vintage botanical book page and a vintage stamp up here. 1940s page there on bookkeeping. This is another early 1900s page here. I want to say that is the Orville brothers. Oh, I forget. No. Oh yeah, these are two very famous botanists. That's it, two very famous botanists. And if you Google search them with your camera on Google, you can find out their names. That is more botanicals. This here is from the 1800s. Look at that beautiful plate. Isn't that something? You can use that to journal in the back of. Here is a 100-year-old banknote, and this is a teeny tiny little vintage card from the 40s or 50s. Look how sweet that is. Just a little teeny tiny one, little kittens on there. And then these are just some pressed flowers that I left in my little baggie here because I didn't want them to crumble because those actually fell out of a book. And oh, I already showed you that one. And there's a 1930s flinch card. That's the number 8. I can switch that number out if you have like a lucky number or a meaningful number. When you order it, you just leave me a note on Etsy. And this is just a really cool 1950s baby card. And you can journal on the inside, on the back, but it's just so lovely and sweet. Isn't that pretty? They're just the best. And then I've got a vintage hanky here. It's a beautiful applique there. There's another little window box journaling spot. And here is an antique snap card. And these are made of brass in the USA, will not rust. And they're right. There's no, there is not a spot of rust on there. So I think that's pretty cool. And then we have some children's book pages here. That's a sweet little poem, little antique paper journaling spot there. And this is a how to dance page here that you can journal in as well. That is quite old. That is one of the original pages of this book. This is from early 1900s. This is from a vintage children's book in the 50s. Isn't that great? Very sweet and colorful. Another one of the original pages of this book. And a card that I made out of a 1930s design book. Really, really cool. I've since used all the plates inside that book. The cover was unusable, so I turned it into tags. This is just a really fun little journaling space here. And this is the original interior spine of this book. More children's book pages there. This is a fun plate out of a book. Look at this cool artwork. How fun is that? I love it. And that is from the 1940s. Really sweet. And this is a piece of vintage crochet. And here's a photo from 1929. Looks like a couple of grandparents there, maybe. And an antique music sheet. I love this tatting book page here. How to tat. Vintage Monopoly money. You can certainly journal on the back of that. And this unused recipe card from about 60 years ago. Oh, look at the little chipmunk here. That's from 1925, 1904. Nature study book, early 1900s. More antique music sheets. I love this little bit here. And that is the end page of the book. Is that fun? So I hope you love it as much as I loved making it. Come back soon. I'll have more tomorrow. Bye for now.